Well, hello, folks. I don't know if anyone's actually going to be watching tonight or not, but we'll see. I'm trying to see if I have a live stream up. There we go. Villain stream. I'm live. No viewers in. Let me get my chat stream live here. Tell me I need to sign into this. This is so much fun. There we go. Villain time. There we go. Now we've got that up. Yay. Oh, this is all acting funny. Anyway, so here's what I'm doing tonight. Not that I have anybody who's watching right now. I'm going to try to make a Cypher System viewer. Oh, John Smith is here. Hi, John Smith. Good to see you. I'm going to try to make a Cypher System Villain just for the heck of it. What I was going to try to do was to do this on Moonbeam because I am going to be doing some stuff for Cypher System over on the Anywhere door, but I don't have permissions to be there yet, and I got things set up. I was going to test it tonight, and I figured, hey, I'll just do it here. So what I'm doing is doing a Cypher System Villain because I run a Cypher System Superhero campaign once a month over lunchtime. It's a really good system and a good way to use the system to do a really cool short adventure with folks. And we're getting ready for a new arc, and I need a new villain. So I got 4 people who are currently here, which makes me kind of happy. I'm trying to see if I have my actual chat going because it's not showing up for some reason. Let me see here. YouTube. I do have one thing that's live. Excuse me. This is all ad hoc tonight. Dangar the Mighty is here. Okay, cool. I got all my folks here now. Okay, everything is showing up, so that makes me happy. Armitage Shanks, how are you? I don't think I've seen you on the chat before. Thank you for being here tonight. Running a little late, just to saying to folks that I'm running superheroes. Dangar the Mighty, how are you? So first thing I like to do is, and this is not normally part of the Cypher System stat block, but I'm going to go over to the book. Here's my little table that I use to create it. I cut these out, throw them into another document so I can just see them. But I like to do a theme because superheroes and supervillains, they have themes, right? So what's a good theme? Hey, King Eric, the greatest of all. What's a good theme for a supervillain to have? So far we have had people who do flames. Hi, Innate Games. I've watched your vids for a while. First time in a live, though. Hey, well, thank you for watching the stream. Or thank you for watching the vids, and thank you for coming on tonight. Completely random. I was just bored. Give me a good theme for a super villain. So I've done flames. I have done like a berserker type. I've done someone who does magnetism. So long hair. That's their theme. Their theme is long hair, King Eric. I'm putting that up there. I have to make sure that the chat highlight gets above everything so you can see it. Give me a second here. There we go. Long hair. That's what King Eric says. And you know what, King Eric, the greatest of all? I'm picking long hair. We're going to make a Medusa-style character. So, long hair. Theme, long hair. There you go. That's this. When my players next week are like, where'd you get this idea? And that it will be yours. So no, we're not doing long hair and tight bows. Long hair and pranks. You know what? Why don't we do long hair and pranks? Because maybe they're a little less serious, but their powers are around the long hair. So okay, we've got long hair and pranks. Actually, no, we don't even need that to do their theme, because the second thing that you have with the Cypher System NPC or villain or adversary, because they're not all monsters really. Villain, hey Jordan, how are you? Is their Their nemesis is Static Electricity Man. I love that. So, oh, and Zealzaddy's here. Gosh, I should stream at 10 o'clock at night more often. You guys all show up. So because the way Cypher System is set up, every NPC or adversary is going to have a motive behind it, which I kind of like. And that could be like, for monsters, it'd be like hungers for flesh, or like seeks to collect, brainstem tissue, whatever you want, like really gross to the really mundane stuff. So I think for this villain with long hair, someone said pranks, their motive is pranks. So maybe they're just not, they're not into it for, outright villainy. They just want to kind of have a good time and mess with the heroes a little bit. Maybe they're bored. Maybe they're some like a trust fund baby type person, right? We're going to go back to the 90s. And, so they're bored and they just want to mess with people, and heroes are people who they seem to think take themselves too seriously, so they're going to mess with them. But they have a power with their long hair. We'll have to talk about that in a second because we're going to have to describe it. Now, for villain level, everything in Cypher System has a level. It goes from 0 all the way up to 10. And the way that you get to your target number is that you take that level and you times it by 3. And then you roll the 20-sided die, and that's what you have to beat in order to make that roll, right? Which, if you know anything about math, you realize that once you get to level 7, you have a target of 21, and well, you can't hit that on a 20-sided die unless you have one that's cheating. So, I like a Loki type. Very good, Armitage. I kind of like that. So, like a level 7 villain that's technically impossible to hit. In normal Cypher System, you would throw things like effort or assets. So you might have a tool that gives you a benefit to an attack that lowers the level by 1. Maybe you're trained in an attack, so you lower it again. So you can go from level 7, and then maybe if you're trained in something, and then you have like a magic weapon that gives you a bonus to your swing, you can lower it down 2, and then maybe 2 of your friends can parry or can like flank the guy and give you 2 assets for help. That can lower it by 4, so you go from a level 7 down to a level 3. That's the way the math works inside a Cypher System. Superheroes are a little bit different. You still need the help. You still need people to jump in to make things work out okay. But with superheroes have these things called power shifts because you want them to be super heroic, and even normal Cypher System characters just aren't quite as strong. And so they get these things called power shifts. So they might be able to have a special attack that they're shifted twice for hey Dave, they're shifted twice for punching people in the face because this is something superheroes do. So that would lower that level 7 villain down to a level 5 to start, and then they could go further down from there. So it's kind of cool. I'm looking not for the final villain, which would probably be a level 7. That's what I've been using up to this point. I'm looking more for like a mid-episode or mid-issue villain at this point. Someone who's going to be a speed bump. Maybe they have minions that are going to be messing things up, so the villain's going to end up getting bonuses to their attack rolls, or they're hindering the defense rolls of the heroes, I should say. So maybe not a level 7, but we can drop it down to a level. We'll drop it down to a level 6, 18. So there we go. The villain, level 6, 18. Now, my villains go up to 11. And actually in superhero games, Eric, they can go up to 11. So, and I like John. Some folks, or some of them want to watch the road burn. Others just want to mess with it. We are definitely doing a mess with it character. This is just someone who's bored, right? This is the bored person. So that's kind of where we're going right now. So here's what I would like to do, I think. Let's give this villain a name. So their theme is long hair. That's kind of like their super villain theme. So they have really, really long hair. Maybe they can, like a Medusa character, they can telekinetically manipulate it, move it around, and attack folks. Maybe they use it like the person with in the Rapunzel movie Tangled. Maybe she can use it to like climb as a rope to climb things. I don't know. Let's have some fun. But we'll give the villain a name a little bit. And Mullet Man, yeah. Well, I don't know. Do we go long hair? You know, our traditional gender roles, a long hair villain would be a woman, but do we want to do a long haired man? Maybe it'd have to be like a Fabio type character who's like way too rich and too impressed with himself, and has long, luxurious locks that somehow he has powers with it. That would be kind of fun. So we'll go for a villain name in a little bit, but think about that. Do we want it to do non-binary, female, male? Don't really care, but it'd be kind of fun. How about tentacle hair villain? Tentacle hair. Well, we've already gone long hair. Do we want to switch it to tentacle hair? I'm going to keep that in the hopper because freaky tentacle hair sounds pretty cool. Maybe their telekinesis turns their hair into tentacles, and that's how they hide their identity. When they activate it, it goes out, and then they, kind of a Samson character, yeah, Dave. But I like tentacle hair. Okay, let's go to health. So health, the base health is 18, because the base health is often just their target number, and you boost it and lower it depending on how long you want them to stick around. The Cypher System is not hugely intent on tracking every single piece of damage that people laser hair things. Every point of damage that gets dealt, it's not a hit point attrition system. It's like if you get a decent hit on somebody and you think it should knock them out, you just go, yeah, knocked them out. Especially superheroes, it just doesn't make sense to just have a whittling down hit point. But by going to like 18, boosting that up a little bit, we'll see how that goes. I think a lot of times what I would do is if I would boost it depending on some of their modifications, which is what we're going to talk about in a little bit. Armor, I don't think this villain is going to have any armor. They take the hit, especially if they're like a Fabio character. Frickin' laser beams, yes. Frickin' sharks with lasers. Damage we'll talk about in a little bit. Kind of worked for phase rip, yeah. Movement, short. It's just a short distance. Cypher System uses abstract distance, so short is basically what they need to get to attack. And then modifications. Now, this is what this particular villain is going to be good at. What makes them go when they are interacting with the heroes? Not just combat. It could be intimidation, so you could have them intimidating the bystanders. It could be people who, it could be a modification for, make it harder to detect them, so they're stealthing. So that's the types of modifications. I don't think this villain really is a stealthy type because they're trying to prank everybody. They just want to see the world be messed with. That's kind of what they're going with. Body armor, skin resistant. I don't think you think they have skin resistant damage. I'll come back to that, Dave. I don't want to make him too hard to knock down, and I'm saying M, not him. So modifications. One thing right here, let's do, so -1 defense against preset pranks, because we already established that this villain is a prankster. Their desire is to mess with people, and probably, they might be a Riddler or Joker type. And they like to set up their pranks. They don't want to do it on the fly because that just takes out some of the drama, right? And I still have my Come to Ecclesiacon auto post going on right now. That was last weekend. It was awesome, by the way. And I will have final numbers. I actually can give you a final number tonight of what we raised. So what happens is maybe a -1 defense against preset pranks is they set the stage, as it were, because they kind of see the world as a stage to be. This is their show to mess with things, and because of that, they're really good at this. And defense rolls against preset pranks. It doesn't have to just be one. Here's the initial ambush. You get like 3 rounds later, you can be like, oh, look, now that box is blowing up. If one of those goes off because he hides it so well, or she hides it so well, or they hide it so well, whoever it's going to be, we still haven't determined this villain's gender, it will be a -1 defense against preset pranks. Now, you think, well, why is it a modification on their part? It's because players roll all the... Actually, I should probably have +1 defense because that's the way players roll all the dice in Cypher System. Oh, I hope Squid falls back asleep. Sprays people in the face with hairspray, makes them crazy. I like that, King Eric. We'll put that up. So a +1 defense against preset. You think, well, that's great, and it's great for the villain. Players roll all the dice in the game. The GM rolls no dice in the game. So when I'm saying that it's a +1 defense against preset pranks, it's a +1 the defense roll for that character, or for that hero who's making the defense. And so right now, unmodified, the villain's base number or base level is 6 with a base target number of 18. But if a hero gets stuck inside a preset prank that's been set up in advance, then the villain's level suddenly becomes 7, and it becomes that much harder for the hero to knock it down to get it to a more reasonable roll. I kind of like that. So they want to see the world messed with, but maybe they're a little bit of a planner. You guys got any other modifications? Like, what would they be good at? The hairspray thing is something that I kind of like. We'll get to in a second when we get to combat. But what other modifications do you think this villain would have? They're a level 6 villain, so they're going to be good at a couple of things. Maybe they can use their hair. I'm going to add a row below here. +1 might checks to escape grapple. Because if their hair becomes those tentacles and they reach out and grapple people, a might check +1, it's going to be a little bit difficult. It's a level 7. They're going to need help to rip them out of this hair. And who knows how long it takes the hair to grow back. And I think 2 modifications right now are pretty good for this villain. That would be kind of cool. And because the villain uses hairspray, do we just call the villain Hairspray? Or are we going to get sued for copyright infringement? Although Hairspray is it's not really talking about a supervillain. So we're going to do that. Let's call the villain Hairspray. I think that would be fun. Wouldn't that be Hairspray, the villain? I feel like I'm making an issue of the Tick right now. So they have a +1 defense against preset villains. And there's my coffee contributor. That one I do want still up. And I have a +1 might checks to escape grapple. So those are my 2 things that I have right now. And that's pretty nice. So combat. Hair with hair with natural useful oils, grease picks, slip out of shackles, etc. Oh, I like you. Yes, Zeal. That's pretty good. Add row below. So, +1. Oh, it can't. This is where things get difficult sometimes to write for Cypher because it's +1 to the heroes. So the heroes are trying to keep the person restrained. +1 against restraints. There we go. What if the hairspray turned everyone's hair into some wild style or color? How about, I love that. Okay, so hairspray. I can't spell. All right. We're in the media of creating a bunch of NPCs and my brain is zoned in on this stuff. Thank you, Zeal. That's awesome. I love creating adversaries for Cypher System, but sometimes my brain gets a little locked when I'm trying to flip things around. But +1 against restraints because, man, the hair can just kind of give that essential oil slimy there. So they have hairspray used on can affect multiple targets. So kind of like a medium is the Dave. Hi, the Dave. We're just doing this totally ad hoc at random. I had nothing planned. I was going to do something over on Moonbeam just for the heck of it, and I'm not logged into there yet, so I'm here. So we're going to say that the hairspray can affect multiple targets in immediate range, so it kind of like throws out a cloud, or maybe he just waves it like this. Immediate range is like within a few feet, so he's got a good stronger. He's using the CFCs in that. Because he's a villain. Putting that out, and it will changes. The hair color of anyone failing a speed defense check. And we'll say so. Not only does it change the color, but it actually begins harassing nearby heroes. Maybe it like suddenly lengthens a little bit, and it starts trying to hold the heroes in place. Hindering all actions of affected heroes until they make a an intellect defense check. And here's the best thing is if the hero gets affected by this, the hair's like trying to like cover the hero's eyes. Or, if they try to reach out, it's trying to like grab their wrist as they're trying to like, reach up to fly. And so they have to make an intellect defense check to kind of like regain control of their hair follicles, which I just think, if that happens multiple times in a battle, that would actually be really, really fun. And that would be really comic booky. I kind of like that a lot. Shall we do a hair grapple? I can't spell. What color are our hairspray's locks? There we go. The hair could their mouth while they're attempting to cast a spell and stop them. That would always be fun. Neon pink. You want neon pink hair? Yeah, you know what? That way they can turn innocent bystanders into minions with one click of the spray. Dengar, that's exactly the idea. Let's all these bystanders around. Or, my group has had created an organization called Chat, which was the Creative Hero Action Team. That was the local law enforcement group that was, created to be dispatched when heroes and villains get into issues. So maybe like Chat shows up and suddenly they become a hindrance to the party instead of a help. It always acts independently, but in the interest of the villain. That's exactly the idea. A la Dr. Octopus. I really like that. And the Dave, I do like neon pink because maybe they maybe they were using an experimental batch of hairspray and it turned their hair neon pink and kind of, put them at the will of their hair. I don't know. So, but we're going to make it neon pink locks. Form several thick tentacles which attempt to grapple an opponent and then squeeze them for 4 points of damage. Damage is applied every round. And I know I'm not using consistent capitalization. There we go. So I got 2 combat actions right here. Do they need a third? Is there something else that we would like to have them do? We already said they do 4 points of damage, so we're just going to put 4 damage up there. This is one of the weird things about Cypher System stat blocks. So it'll have damage up top, and then sometimes in the combat actions, they'll have other attacks that do different levels of damage. So I think this is more like a general, like, this is what they generally do, and then something specific, but we'll just make it 4. If nobody's got anything else that we want to do for that, we have +3 modifications, which would be 9, a level, and a 27 target. So you know what? Let's give them health to match. We'll give them a 27 health. That's going to keep them around a pretty long time unless they do something really cool that smashes them in the face and knocks them out, which is something I always hope for. But my party rolls a lot of 1s. I don't even get to give them experience points a lot of times because they just get hit by things. It's really kind of sad, to tell you the truth. This is the basic. If we have one more attack action we can come up, that would be okay. This is a really neat mid-level villain. And I know level 6, hair is susceptible to fire, could be a good weakness. Ooh. Oh, yes. Okay, I love that, Zeal. Good job. I'm going to keep their health at 27, though. So -1 against fire attacks. Especially if their superpowered hair was created by hairspray. Maybe, I still to this day smell Aquanet from high school. I also can't spell. So maybe they just smell like Aquanet. Maybe that follows them around. Yeah, I'm old. So -1 defense against fire. Zeal. That was really, I loved that idea. That was a really good idea. Pretty cool. So got a weakness as a weapon. Do they need a canister to do the hairspray, or did they kind of get a biological dispersal unit in their hands when they were affected that turned them into hairspray? Either's really good. I kind of like the idea that they just kind of produce it, to tell you the truth. Kind of fun. All right, so then we need story. Bring that up a little bit. So, oh man, the smell of the 80s, 90s for sure. Yeah, the Aquanet, man. If I catch a whiff of hairspray, that's literally all I can say. I can smell. And because it was high school, of course, in the 80s, well, actually early 90s for me, when I was in public school, it was the Aquanet mixed with cigarette smoke. That was a great mix, by the way. Yeah, EcclesiaCon is no longer happening. I should probably change that while I'm thinking about it. So, oh gosh, let's see what we got here. Chatbot primary. That's the wrong one. Forgot where it is. I'm going to have to go find it before I do my next stream, because I remember what it is and I forget how to do it. Oh boy. Chatbot, private administrator, AI. I don't need AI. I just need my mechanics. Man, oh man, I do not remember where this is. I know it's pretty far down. Global settings and tools commands. There we go. Chat command, webhook. There we go. This one doesn't exist anymore. There we go. I don't have to have people coming to EcclesiaCon in next weekend or this past weekend because it already happened. You could have more of a punk rock version that uses spray paint instead of hairspray. That would also be good. They always listen to 80 Pops, a telltale sign of their involvement. Oh, I love this. Punk rock that uses spray paint instead of hairspray. I'm going to keep that one in mind. But I do love the 80s. I do love that they always listen to 80s pop music. Like they see themselves in a montage. Like they're part of One Crazy Summer. So let's pick the gender now for this character. Is Hairspray male, female, non-binary? Who are they? Give me some thoughts on that. It's not kind of cliche to make the punk is their sister. So I'm going to have to make another one next time. Maybe prank aspect to be more of a graffiti accent works with the spray paint. Oh, 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 Paint the world neon. Oh, I kind of like that. Exploding graffiti. How's that? I kind of like that. Their pranks are. I do like the idea that they have a biological spray that they get with people. Kind of like maybe they're like a skunk type character. Neon is a good villain name. I kind of like Hairspray as a villain name, but Neon is also a good villain name. Let's change it. I like that too. So Hairspray. Do I want it? I think what we're gonna do is that they have so they're not. How about we do this? So they have the spray paint, and it works with their natural kind of pheromones that they put out which is what their hairspray is. But it just charges whatever spray can they have. And so like whatever they use, they can do it, and they can spray spray their graffiti on the wall, and then they can set it to trigger and blow up and mess with people. That's actually kind of cool. And maybe they try to like paint like actual high art murals that suck the villains in, and then they like something psychedelic in the paint makes the heroes feel like the person's like reaching out and trying to smack them, and that does damage to them. I love everything about that. But we're gonna go spray paint. This is a really cool villain. Neon spray, neon for short. I'm gonna keep that one in mind. I like the neon for short. Can charge with their hairspray. Pranked graffiti. I can spell. It triggers a psychoreactive response. Intellect defense check to break the spell. Now they got 3 combat actions. This is going to be a tough villain. I like this. I can't wait to throw them at my heroes and make them fall. I mean, I can't wait to see my heroes knock them over. Then the heroes have to fight the spray paint monster to get out. When they get out, they're covered in the paint. I kind of like it. I mean, they get sucked into the thing too, or they at least they envision themselves being sucked into the thing, and really they're just kind of like throwing themselves at the wall, so they're just covered in this stuff at the end. I kind of like everything about that. That's really kind of fun. So, all right, let's go to gender. Is this a male, female, non-binary, anything? I like I said, I have no real set preference for this. Although I guess I had originally envisioned I was making a him. But I think I've had all male villains in this campaign so far, which doesn't seem fair. There should be non-male villains. But I don't want to make it cliche. Give me a good spray paint, neon style last name. You want to go with a she? Okay. So a neon style last name, because we're doing comic books, so their name has to like go to what their powers or their eventual alter ego is going to be. So Leslie, what is Leslie's last name? This is actually really kind of fun, guys. Thank you. I wasn't going to get to another video this week, and so I got to do this, and that was a really good time. So Leslie Neon, Painter. You know what? Painter's kind of is actually an actual last name that we don't see much anymore, but Leslie Hairband. I don't know about that, but I like it. Oh. Hairband. Give me another word with band. Or even hair. Painter sounds great. I do like Painter. Leslie Painter was it's always mild manner. I think Painter's a better Leslie. I like Painter. Leslie Painter was a punk rock lover who, one such concoction turned her hair neon pink. I do like the neon pink hair, guys. The villain would have groupies for sure, minions that are thralls to their style, their magnificence, and their dance moves. I really think that's part of what they do is like eventually when they spray people with the hairspray, they just eventually give up their lives and just follow her around. One such concoction turned her hair pink. I do have to say what range they are for the grapple, so remind me to do it. Lengthened it to we'll say 15. No, gave it the ability. LNGTH to 15 feet. So maybe that Leslie, I like tags. I like graffiti tags for the minions. It's really good. This whole thing is making me want to make an 80s 90s punk rock game with groupies, hairbands, and neon paint. I think that's like really awesome. Aspiring artist and punk rock enthusiast. They just the 80s punk game with groupies, hairbands, and neon paint is a superhero movie. They're just all in a mosh pit. Which we couldn't do anymore because I would probably break a leg and hurt myself. So I like the idea that Leslie, she was just into punk rock and she got like different chemicals, and maybe she chemical opened up a portal to like an alternate dimension where the hair kind of like partially took her over, gave her abilities, developed a mind of its own, and maybe she's more like a hybrid mind, or existing in symbiosis with her hair, and it's the hair that's kind of driving her out to paint the world and to see people who take themselves seriously taken down a peg. Like whatever the hair was, whatever consciousness is in the hair, merged with her kind of punk rock anti-authoritarianism and created this anarchy loving person who just wants to like take serious people and make them look like fools, and doesn't really care if she looks like a fool in the process because that's all part of the fun. I love tags, minions for the heroes to try minimizing without killing. We're going to put that into combat in a second. So So we have Leslie Painter. Painter was a punk rock lover who enjoyed experimenting with different chemicals to get her hair looking suitably punk. One such concoction turned her hair neon pink, gave it the ability to lengthen to 15 feet and form tentacles, we had that above, and develop a mind of its own. Her only desire is to see those who take themselves seriously knock down a peg or two, and heroes always make the best targets. Make that plural. All right, so we want tags, huh? Like a hair chaotic symbiote, like the being that take it over. I think if this is a character that is recurring, I'm not sure that the hair might not be a chaotic symbiote. I think maybe like what if it was just something as simple as the hair in its home dimension was like their version of a comic. And just because that's what comics do, right? They point out the absurdity in life and make us laugh at it so we don't cry. So maybe it was just like the equivalent of a hair comic, and like whatever other dimension it came from when it popped over here, its first personality that it comes into contact with and gets kind of like stuck to is this anti-authoritarian punk rocker, and they just kind of merged it, and they're like, let's go. And they just are off to like make people who take themselves seriously realize how silly and stupid they are. And Leslie just is an anarchist. She just doesn't, well, not technically like a traditional anarchist, but she's like she just wants to see everything taken down a peg and let everybody see how absurd everything is. More a cynic more than anything else, I guess. But, the cynics hang around with anarchists a lot. They don't understand that they're not them. I kind of like this. That's kind of fun. Okay, so now we have to have the tags, right? And I'm not even sure about the hair being the comedian. I just love the idea of like maybe the hair wasn't evil. It's just really, really confused, but it's just meshed with this person. Yeah, see, Zeal, I don't think she has any other desire. This is what makes her a minor villain, right? She's the speed bump villain. Maybe she's the villain that other villains throw her out, but I don't think she has any other desire than to see people make fools of themselves. And
more importantly, not just to see average people make fools of themselves, but make the important people, the people who see themselves as important, make fools of themselves. Like that's all she wants to do. I don't think there's anything further than that, really. It's like there's no goal there. It's just like you take yourself too seriously, and I'm going to show you how silly you are by, making my giant shark graffiti monster psychedelically attack you and make you feel like you're being eaten so that I can get a picture of you covered in bright blue neon paint and put it on the internet everywhere. I mean, maybe that is literally all she wants to do. Like that's the type of chaos that she wants. She doesn't want to burn the world down. But she's just kind of like, she wants everybody who takes themselves seriously, all the authority figures in the world to see themselves as being ridiculous. I think I just kind of like, this would definitely be a very strange villain to fight. Do you put her in a mosh pit or a mall? Definitely have to be in a mall, right? Actually, and the funny thing is that my hero campaign is actually set in Philadelphia. So maybe like in the Philadelphia of the hero campaign, like South Street is still a thing and maybe Zipperhead still exists. Maybe that's where she hangs out when she's not setting up her pranks. Having a player offender in some way can make her a great recurring villain. Yeah, her desire could be created by a player. I do like that. But yeah, Zeal, I don't think she kills. I just think that's something that's like not occurred to her. It's because that's not satisfying, right? If she kills the person, she can't make them feel foolish again, and that's really all she would say. She's probably a textbook narcissist, but hey, what the heck? But at least she doesn't kill people. All right, so we have tags, right? So ficted. All right, so what is the tag's motive? So they want to help. I'm saying motive. They're devoted to Neon, but what is their humiliate, harass, and humble? That's basically what they want to do. What does the minions do mechanically inside a combat situation? And they might not always be around because sometimes villains show up by themselves. Sometimes villains just show up with their minions, or their minions just show up. The villain doesn't show up till later. Tags follow her because she uses them as parts of art, leaving them as statues and stuck on walls in a mural. It's an honor. Oh my gosh. Oh, holy smokes. Oh, I kind of like that. Okay, hold on. But what mechanical function would they do then? Did they give an asset to her in attacking, or they hinder defense rolls against her? Not Levens, leaves. Tags insist this is an honor. They're normies that she teaches to act as riotous crowd. See, I love that. I think that they've been affected by her hairspray so long that the hair's kind of taken over, right? She gets +1 for each minion attached to the wall. The players have to peel them off the walls to weaken her. So you can't just do a +1 because that's +1 level. And because your levels are essentially every level you go up is a +3. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to have to stop soon because I've fallen asleep. If she had like 6 minions, it would be really awful. She plucks a few for art installations. I think she just leaves people behind constantly because she can figure she can always get new people. And maybe or maybe she recurs. Maybe when they leave her presence, the hairspray wears off, and like lo and behold, she's had the police chief enthralled for the better part of 3 weeks, and leaves him alone for a month, and then picks him up again because that's what she wants to do, right? She wants to continually embarrass people. Dinger, she's a Mr. Mixelplick type character. Yeah, I think she is. So I like the idea that her minions affect the heroes. So why don't we say so they can attack? So tags can as a group of 4, as a level, let's do a level 3, 9 health, 3 damage. They don't do much, but they can attack, so they're in the way, right? You got to deal with them. Being near minions causes direct difficult terrain, so you can't get to her. So that would be, or so difficult terrain is not really a thing inside Cypher System. So what you do is you say that I mean, it is difficult terrain, but you'd say the terrain hinders the person crossing it by 1. So you say, but in this case, you have the groups of 4 hinders. Tags can hinder the heroes as a mob. Sometimes faking adoration, because why not, right? That all goes into the thing. And you say by 1 step for basically a -1 to the heroes, or a +1 to the heroes, -1 for the villain. The minions attack. They should headbang if she sprays the minion, and they headbang and do added damage with spiky hair. I think they all have hair. I'm gonna have to put that in. It's getting a little long. I'm gonna put that up on the stream, though. That's awesome. I really like that. That's pretty fun. This is one of my only real critiques of Cypher System, is that sometimes the stat blocks get a little bit too long, just because, and it's not because the game is complex. It's because everything is done by narrative. And so you can't just say hairspray this damage, because it doesn't work, right? You have to say kind of how the hairspray works in narrative is how it goes. So it's not like an OSR game in that respect. It is very much a narrative fiction game. It's meant to be played theater of the mind. So having this information here to teach people how to use it is really, really helpful. And but at the same time, it's not compact to like just pick up and put somewhere else. It's you got to scroll through and read some stuff. So it does take a little bit of prep to play a major NPC in a Cypher System or Numenera. Just because you want to know how they function. You're not gonna you can make it up on the fly, but no, I just did this work here to create a compelling villain to throw at my heroes next stream. Let's see what Zielzaddy has to say here. Within a minute of advance notice, she sprays their hair and gives them an easing to attacks and damage with the spiky hair. If 5+ attack, the attack is a single level 4. So I already have him as a group of 4 as a level 3. I don't want to give him too much power. Man, that's getting long, but I love that. Sprays their hair and gives them an easing to attacks and damage with spiky hair. 5+ attack, the attack is a single. So I'll keep it as 4+ attack, because I want to have maybe 3 groups of 4 who are running around. That way they can hinder the hero. Can we just say that they have spiky hair? And we'll say they do 4 damage from spiked hair. which is like real spikes. They basically turn themselves into a flail of some sort, more an old morning star. So I like that. We'll keep that in. I think that's really kind of a good idea. So I'm going to take this off so you can actually see it. Yay. So I just said that I do like as a group of 4 instead of a group of 5. Or that they headbang the villains. I love that they headbang. So with spiked hair, the 4 damage, spiked hair. They just run at the person, and they don't put the elbows up like they're supposed to in a mosh pit. They just go full head on. And you could create a whole, if you really wanted to go heavily into the punk rock scene, you could have people like doing stage dives and stuff. I just think that would be absolutely insane. I'm going to have to create a whole setting for this character. And she's got to know something that's sending the heroes to their next objective. I have a week to figure this out. It's going to be easy. I don't think any of my players are watching right now. But I think this is done. So again, it looks long. That's because it's a narrative game. You do need to know kind of how things function in the game because it gives you an ability to describe it. I really could have just said hair grapple. I do need to let's do short distance. Within short distance. Also, I should probably bold that or italicize it. I could just say hair grapple and make it up on the fly. And it because of the way Cypher System works, it's just going to match. But I like to have it spelled out a little bit for people in case they want to use this character themselves. Kind of fun. But there's Neon. We started as Hairspray. People wanted long hair, and then they said pranks, and suddenly we had graffiti, and we turned into a headbanger. Not a headbanger, a punk rocker. And they want to paint the world neon. That's their job, but their neon oftentimes turns into exploding graffiti. I kind of like that. Very, very nice. Or psychedelic reactions. Pretty cool. She dated someone of the next objective and can direct the players to where the key is in the fake stone in the backyard. Classic trope. Classic trope, the Dave. Very classic trope. Yeah, maybe we'll do that next. We'll do that sometime early next week as we'll just go over what maybe the adventure can be. Because I don't think I'm doing anything. No, I am playing a game on Monday. I'm not doing anything on Tuesday. So we might do that. But what, you want to guys have an announcement as I open up my sheet here? So EcclesiaCon, for those of you who do not know, if folks are on the stream who have not thought about that, and we're down to four viewers, so most people here I think already do. But that's my convention that we run here in Palmyra, New Jersey. It happens in the basement of my church. This year we actually had a second room that was up on the main floor. And it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of games. We have special guests come out. Nobody of huge, great note last year. This year we had a little bit better. And people come and play and they have some fun. We roll some dice. But the motto of it is to roll some dice and do some good. Because when I do things like at the church, I want to be able to do good for not just the church. I want to do something good for the whole neighborhood out here. It's something that's always kind of been important to me. So last year we split 50-50 between our church's roof renovation project and the food pantry that's down the street, which is very, very important because especially nowadays, we've got a lot of food insecurity around here. I don't know why. Just that's going to get worse, I should say. And this year we decided that we were going to split it 75-25, 25% going to the church, which is probably less than the rental fee that I would have charged an outside group to come in and use the building for all the hours that we did. And 75% went to booksmiles.org, which is a literacy campaign here in South Jersey. They have one mission. Their mission is to get books into the hands of children and give them the opportunity to fall in love with reading, because that just opens up so many avenues for people inside this culture. We are still technically a literate culture. I'm hoping that continues. But for me as a pastor, I need people to be able to read a book because we have this really long one that's actually a whole bunch of different books. I also want them to be able to read and be able to determine differentiate between different genres, so they don't go off with wackadoodles who are trying to take over the country. So that's kind of important to me personally, but also for the hobby, because the hobby it requires people to be able to read and interpret and understand books, because that's what look at my shelf, right? That's what we have. We have these books. So Book Smiles gives children books and helps them learn to love reading, and that in turn I think gives us more opportunities to spread the hobby. It gives me opportunities to talk with people who are literate about my faith, even if they don't ever pick it up, at least they can read it without going wackadoodle. That would be nice. And so I thought that was a really good convergence of concepts for that. And so 25% to the church, 75% to booksmiles.org. We raised a total of, and I'm going to round it up to the next highest dollar, $5,245 at a convention that had just over 100 people. That includes the volunteers and the GMs and the special guests. It was about 54 players, all total, but 100 for the total attendance. Ron Meschker from Philly Area Gaming Expo ran a auction on Saturday night that added that it's now included in this total, but it added about $1,500 to the total that we raised. We had a bunch of sponsors who donated product for the auction or just gave cash outright for us to be able to do things. Excess of all that was obviously being given to the two recipients or the beneficiaries. Really, really important. If you're taking math or doing the math, and I'm going to do it here. What did I say it was? 5245. 5245. So that's $3,933.75 to booksmiles.org. And then to the church for our roof loan is $1,311.25. I mean, it's just awesome. We did something really good. We got to play games, have a lot of fun. Book Smiles actually had a table there this year. They could give out literature, let people know what was going on. Aiden, who was there representing Book Smiles, he played a bunch of tables. People loved him. He was great. We had Ron Meschker, I already talked about from Page, Ed Stark, who used to work for West End Games, TSR, and Wizards of the Coast. He came and ran a game. Somebody run this amazing Marvel Superheroes game that is actually being run at Page next year, next year at this point, which he built the city, like literally on these two tables, built a city. It was absolutely amazing. I ran 3 games. Ironically, my Numenera game did not go well. I was so tired. I probably should have skipped that day. But it was an absolute blast. People had a good time. We had vendors this year. There was a taxidermy guy there, which I was a little worried about, to tell you the truth. He was a really cool, really neat guy. Great story. Had really cool products. My son actually has a tail now that my wife bought him, and I was afraid that my wife would be freaked out by that, but she's the one that gave this guy money. They had Pokemon cards with the actual insects on the top of them. Like, here's the insect that this bug Pokemon is based off of. It was really, really cool. Had an artist come in who's selling his own comic book. It was really cool. It felt like a real convention. The best part is that my 6-year-old son, who's our youngest, we have a massive gap between our older two and our youngest, he got to go to the convention. He played in 3 games. So he played in Open Legend D6 Beta, and that was his favorite game. They did cat sitting. They were babysitting a panther. He did the Forest Tomb, which was Legends of Cerealia, so he got to play a Zelda-themed game, and then he played Clayorama, that Ron from Page actually ran. So, wow, that was a blast. And I am still exhausted, which is probably why I keep closing my eyes and falling asleep while I'm sitting here. But that was awesome. And we raised money. And we got to do something that we love to do, and we did some good with it. And I think that's the best of all worlds at that point. So really, really cool. I'm going to going to be doing a retrospective of that I'm going to try to write it over the course of the week and get it filmed and go up next Monday. Or Tuesday at the latest. And I do need to finish reading Monty Python. I was so tired I could not read at all this week. But we're going to get to that, and that's going to be absolutely fantastic because the Monty Python co-curricular medieval reenactment program it's just a phenomenal game. They knocked it out of the park to make it look like and feel like Monty Python. Really, really cool. That's what I've got going on, folks. Thank you for being here. I'm going to go to my main page here, but thank you for being here for the chat and hanging out as I was just kind of rambling on and making this cool little character. Hope you find Neon kind of engaging, and we'll flesh it out a little bit more, but some really cool stuff. I love, by the way, the tags, the minions make it. I just think that's absolutely phenomenal. So thank you so much for adding it in. And until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.